As soon as you start the feed rate and the reflux, you want to do the material balance. So you will go to the graduated cylinder in the top product vessel and measure the distillate rate. The difference between the feed rate and the distillate rate is what setting you need for the bottoms pump. So you'll go to your calibration curve and determine the voltage setting needed for the bottoms pump to get the bottom rate you need. You have 30 mils of feed going in, so you want 30 mils of distillate and bottom product coming out. Once you set these values, the distillate rate has a tendency to change again, so you want to check that rate a second time and make sure the column is balanced. One word of caution on feed is it sometimes gets a vapor lock in the tubing and does not pump. And so it's good to mark it with labeling tape or a Sharpie so you can ensure that indeed the feed is going down and being fed to the column. Once the temperatures begin to level off to a constant temperature, you can say you're at thermal equilibrium. And now it's time to start sampling the top's distillate and the bottom off the reboiler for the concentrations. And when the concentrations are constant, then you'll have molar equilibrium. The distillate will be sampled at V3 below the decanter. You can sample the distillate by putting the tube down inside the centrifuge tube and opening the valve V3. The first 5 milliliters is waste, and you're going to put it in the waste, and then you're going to get your sample and cap. Now this sample you want to put in the cooling bath to cool. The reason the first 5 mils is waste is because 5 mils of alcohol sits right here between the reflux tube and the valve. So you want to empty that out and waste it before you actually sample the distillate at current distillate. In addition to distillate, you also want to sample the bottoms. The bottoms can be sampled here where you did your calibration of the bottoms pump, so you can put your tube on the stainless steel tubing. And again, you want to waste a little bit, because if you took 10 mils out of the top, you want to take 10 mils out of the bottom as well, so that it stays balanced. Now you don't want to get too much because you have to cool it, so you don't want to have to cool 10 mils, just 5. Here you can see in the data where I sampled the tops, the temperature jumps up as I cut off the reflux. You can also see it go up here on the middle tray, T6. So now what I'm going to do is allow that temperature to come back to the equilibrium temperature before I take my second sample. Once you've made 3 measurements of the index of refraction of the tops and they agree with each other, you're at molar equilibrium and you're finished running at this power. So you need to now save all your data. You've already written down the index, I presume, in your notebook, and you need to save the temperatures. So you can stop this. To save the data, you can stop the recording and file save as, make you a folder on the desktop, and you can choose your folder on the desktop. And be sure and drop down here to XLS file so you can open in Excel, and give it a name based on the kilowatts you read and reflux ratio. Once you're done with a temperature plot and you're ready to start a new one at either new power or each reflux ratio, you hit this little white page icon here. It makes sure you've saved your file, and you can say OK if you have. Otherwise, do that, and then you can start again on a second file. You have a measurement of the distillate rate, and so from this you can calculate the boil-up rate. Temperature, boil-up rate, index of refraction. The final thing you need is the pressure reading. In order to measure the pressure, I'm going to open V6 and V7, and the pressure will go into the manometer, and then I will close the valves. The pressure stays in the manometer, but we close the valves so that vapor does not back up into the water. And we can now read the manometer in centimeters of water. Once you've saved all your data, temperature, pressure, refractive index to determine the concentrations in tops and bottoms, now you are ready to go to your next power or reflux. If you are going to a new reflux, you simply put in your new reflux and wait for steady state again. If you are going to a new power, you want to turn the reflux and feed off, put your new power in and allow it to come to steady state in full reflux, and then turn the reflux and feed back on. This procedure will conserve feed.